So after his form for Brighton last season, Levi Colwill has become one of the most sought after defenders in the world. But today I want to figure out, is this actually a top young player, or is this just everyone hopping on the bandwagon? Today we're going to look at how good he is and where he should play his club football next season. Now of course there is actually plenty of content out there covering Levi Colwill because like I said, a lot of people are hopping on this bandwagon of him as a young player. However, here on the AJ Analysis channel we don't do that. We're not happy to just hop on a bandwagon. This is not a player which is new to me. Levi Colwill is someone which I've been watching since he was playing for Huddersfield, and he's a player which I've been tracking for quite some time now. So without further ado, let's get right into his strengths. So I think we're all very aware by now that you cannot talk about Levi Colwill without talking about his ability on the ball, because this is where he has really excelled for Brighton in the past year. Of course, Brighton under De Zerbi are a possession-heavy side, and Levi Colwill has been a big part of that, and as a result he has developed into a phenomenal ball player. In my opinion, one of the best ball-playing defenders in the world. Not just young centre-backs, but full stop, every centre-back in the world, Levi Colwill is right up there with his ability on the ball. And the reason for that is because of a thing called la pausa, which is when you stop on the ball basically and take your time. There's a perfect clip of this for the England under-21 side the other day, where Levi Colwill puts his foot on the ball and just stands there on the halfway line for about 30 seconds. Now some people might become frustrated by this, however there is method to his madness of just standing there, and it is this. These days in football we see a lot of teams using a shadow press. So for example, a team will press in a front two like this, and the idea is that these players aren't actually pressuring the ball, they're kind of cutting a passing lane. That is what they're looking to do. By standing on the ball for a long time, what you kind of force the opposition to do is eventually come press you, because you can't just stand there all day for 90 minutes. So eventually it draws the opposition player into the press. This is then when you can play passes to other people to open up this free player behind you. So that is the method behind what Levi Colwill is doing. And for me, he is genuinely already the best centre-back in the world at doing this. Working under De Zerbi has really seen him develop in this way. But it goes so much further than that as well. He's also very press resistant. So at times when he's drawing these players in, not only does he then pass the ball past them, but he's also very capable of carrying the ball past them, using his big frame to kind of hold off the opposition player before then striding forward with the ball. He is genuinely press resistant. On top of this, he is a top passer with literally every pass in his locker. He can play it short to the side, he can play it short into the midfield, he can go with medium range passes out to the other fullback to relieve pressure, or he can go long, particularly with clipped balls over the top into the channel, which make him a very dangerous attacking weapon. On top of this, he is also an incredible progressive passer, and this is one of the most valuable commodities in world football right now. A player which can move the ball forward through the lines, break opposition lines and hurt their system. Now this is an area where Levi Colwill developed massively for Brighton last season, but he's actually been doing it for a few years. Throughout the Chelsea Youth Academy and for Huddersfield in the Championship, he would regularly fire these passes through the lines into players in half spaces, and it's just such a valuable trait for the modern day footballer to have. And in this regard, once again, Levi Colwill is genuinely up there with some of the best ball playing centre backs in the world. Not many defenders are this good at getting the ball moving forward through the lines. He passes genuinely like a midfielder, and it is super impressive. So before we continue into the video, a quick shout out to today's video sponsor, JerseyFIFA.com, the home of all of the greatest football kits. Whether that be the new latest releases or the old classic ones like this, Jersey FIFA has something for everyone, and now you can check it out yourself using the link in the description down below. And also make sure to use code JerseyFIFA for 10% off when you order. A combination of these different attributes make Levi Colwill one of the best ball playing defenders in the world currently. His short range, medium range and long range passing are all very impressive. He can play the ball through the lines to progress the ball, and he's a very progressive passer. But he can also turn the opposition round with a clipped ball over the top for a forward to run onto. And his passing ability is reflected in his FBref report here, where we can see in general he is ranking very well for his passing. Now you might have noticed there that at times his completion rate isn't as good, but fear not, that is not because of Levi Colwill's ability on the ball. It is because of the fact that at Brighton, he is asked to play in an extremely risky manner at times. He does invite the pressure onto him, and he is then asked to play really adventurous passes. So fear not, those pass percentages might be a little bit low, but trust me, Levi Colwill is still genuinely a top ball player. And that makes him, in a way, on the ball, the perfect modern day defender. Now in terms of an area where he could maybe improve is his right foot. At the moment he is very one-footed and will nearly always pass the ball to his left hand side or straight, of course being left footed. He doesn't very often take the ball onto his right foot and look to play the other way. So that's an area where he could improve moving forward, but at the moment it isn't too big a concern because being left-footed, playing on the left side, it kind of naturally makes sense and it is a natural fit. These are, for me, without doubt, Levi Colwill's biggest strengths, and it is what everyone talks about, his ability on the ball. But importantly, he is actually a very good defender as well. People seem to have forgotten to talk about that. Yes, he's world class on the ball, but can he defend as well? Yes, he can, as we'll see now. So one of the main areas where I like Levi Colwill from a defensive point of view is his physicality. This was something that we saw in the Championship. As an 18, 19-year-old player playing in the Championship at centre-back, a very physical league, you might expect some teenagers to be overpowered at times, kind of get muscled off the ball. That wasn't the case for Levi Colwill. He held his own against some of the most physical strikers that the league had to offer. And it's the same in the Premier League as well. Physically, he does not look out of place. He is very, very capable of going shoulder to shoulder with the opposition forward to win the ball for his side. Add on top of this the fact that he is very, very quick and has excellent recovery pace. And all round, you've got yourself a brilliant athlete. So when teams are looking to play a high line, which, you know, most teams do these days, and the ball is being hit into this sort of channel here, you've got your big, physical, fast strikers going to run the channel, Levi Colwill can match them, both with his pace and also his physicality. Now, what is quite exciting is that he is still very, very young, only 20 years old, so chances are he will improve in this side of the game as well, which is a very exciting prospect for Levi Colwill moving forward for any club which he plays for. These physical attributes will allow Levi Colwill to go a long, long way in his career. However, to really be a top defender, you also have to be good with your mind as well. You have to be a smart defender. And Levi Colwill is that, although perhaps from a defensive point of view, this is the area where he needs the most work. Now, let's make it clear, this isn't a criticism of him because he is still good from a defensive point of view. For example, when players look to be receiving the ball into their feet in terms of opposition strikers, Levi Colwill is very good at reading the play, being aggressive, stepping in front of them to win the ball. Something we would of course expect playing for Brighton, a team which pressed super high up the pitch with that high back line. Levi Colwill is very, very capable of stepping in, being aggressive and winning the ball back. And this is of course a strength for him as a player. We've already seen that he has the recovery pace and the muscle to go the other way, but to have the skill set to also step in and be aggressive is very, very important. Now, in terms of improving in this area, he needs to improve his judgment of when he's stepping in. You will see the occasional situation where he's stepping in to win the ball when he just shouldn't be really, and it does leave this gap in behind him when he gets it wrong, so that's certainly an area where Colwill can develop. Now, an area where I don't think Colwill needs much work at all is in his heading of the ball. Again, we're talking about a very, very young centre-back playing in the best league in the world. You might expect him physically to get done in the air at times. That is not the case. He is one of the best headers of the ball in the Premier League, and in terms of his aerial duels in his FBref report, we can see that he ranks incredibly, incredibly well. And again, if we're talking about this being a young player, someone who still can maybe develop his frame, put a bit more muscle on, it is genuinely really exciting how good he could become in this department. He is already one of the most aerially dominant centre-backs in the Premier League. Add a better reading of the play as he matures, but also a bit more physicality, it's a genuinely frightening prospect. This of course aids Colwill in his box defence, something which we don't see too much of. Of course, again, Brighton are a possession heavy side, so we don't see too much of Colwill defending deep in his own penalty area. However, we did see it for the England under-21 side over the summer at the European Championships. Of course, a tournament where England didn't concede a single goal, and Levi Colwill was a big part of this team's success, one of the most important players, and for me, one of the players of the tournament. In this tournament, we did see him doing some box defence. In the second half against Portugal, there was a large spell where England didn't really have the ball and Colwill was forced to defend much deeper. But all round, the box defence that we saw from all of the England defenders, to be fair, but including Colwill, it was very, very impressive. Now, we can't come to too many conclusions right now because we haven't seen the sample size, we haven't seen enough of it. However, I do think that Levi Colwill could become a very, very good box defender. And all round, we can see that he is a brilliant player. So hopefully that answers kind of our first question that we had at the start of the video. Is Levi Colwill as good as he looks, or is everyone hopping on a bandwagon? This is not a bandwagon. Levi Colwill is one of the best young defenders in the world. For me, the best young centre-back in football. So the question is, where will he be playing next season? Of course, the most obvious answer to this is Chelsea, because that is the club that he is currently contracted to. However, it seems as though Levi Colwill has doubts over how much football he'll actually get to play. And the reason for that is because Chelsea have Badiashile, one of the best young left-footed defenders in the world. Probably the only club which can really brag that. Two top left-footed centre-backs in this position. And that is putting doubt in Levi Colwill's mind. If I was Colwill, I would try my best to stay at Chelsea because I think it's better than moving about too much early on in his career. However, if he isn't guaranteed the game time, which he does deserve, he should be their starting centre-back, then he should look elsewhere. If Pochettino can't make him the promises which he needs, Colwill should look for a move. So what are some potential options? So one option that I know a lot of people on this particular channel have spoken about is Manchester United, and I must admit, as a United fan, this would be a great move to see happen. I love Levi Colwill, I adore him, he's one of my favourite young players in the world of football. To see him at my favourite club would be great. However, I just don't think a move makes sense this summer. For starters, United already have a left-footed centre-back in Lisandro Martinez, who was brought in last summer, and we know that Erik ten Hag trusts him, and rightly so. So I don't really see a world where Levi Colwill is guaranteed football at Manchester United. Add on to that the fact that it's unlikely that Chelsea will sell two of their best young players to Manchester United in one summer. I don't really believe that United are an option. As much as I would love to see it, I don't think it would be the best move for Levi Colwill, and I think United simply have far too many other areas that they need to address. A far more likely option is that Levi Colwill chooses to go to Brighton. Of course, where he played so well last season, it makes sense. We know that Brighton have expressed their interest in Levi Colwill earlier in the summer, and this would be really very good for his development. He is guaranteed football, first team football on a regular basis. He knows he will be starting at the heart of defence for this side. He knows the philosophy, he knows the manager, and he knows that De Zerbi is a manager which trusts him. He also knows that De Zerbi is a manager which wants to play the exact brand of football which suits Levi Colwill's game down to a T. So I could certainly see why Levi Colwill would want to make this move happen. If he can't get his game time at Chelsea, I would try to go to Brighton if I was him. Will Chelsea accept offers from Brighton? We don't know. Maybe it could be used in some sort of Caicedo deal where Caicedo goes the other way. That could certainly be possible. But if I was Levi Colwill and I can't get the game time at Chelsea, Brighton would certainly be a brilliant option for his development over the next 3 to 4 seasons. The one problem with a move to Brighton is that I have a feeling Levi Colwill might have his aim set a little bit higher, and I think he wants Champions League football next season, which makes Liverpool an option. Now, we can see the big drawback here. If he was to play for Liverpool, it would probably have to be at left back, because he isn't going to displace Virgil van Dijk. However, with Liverpool's new system, which they used towards the end of last season, it could work, with Levi Colwill playing almost on the left side of a back three in possession, a position which he played really well for Huddersfield on that loan during the other season. I think this would be a really good move. I don't know if Liverpool have the spare money to do it after signing Szoboszlai, but if they do, and they need a player to play on the left-hand side of the defence and eventually replace Virgil van Dijk at the heart of the defence, Levi Colwill would be an incredible option for Liverpool, and if I was Colwill, I would strongly consider it. It's a chance to play week in, week out at a top club, playing in Europe. It would be a brilliant option for him, maybe slightly out of position, but in the long term, I think we would see him where he wants to be. I also think the case is the same for Manchester City as well. The chance to play in the Champions League, week in, week out, in this new system which we are seeing in football, under one of the best managers that the world has ever seen. If this sort of offer was to come through from Manchester City, Levi Colwill would be crazy to turn it down. It's the ability to work under one of the best managers ever, in one of the best teams we have ever seen. What you can see though, is that Levi Colwill certainly has his options open. But let me know what you think. Where do you think he should go? Do you think he should stay at Chelsea? Do you think he could go to United? Personally, I don't think it's likely. Do you think Liverpool would be a good option? Brighton or Manchester City? And how good do you think he is in general? Let me know all of that in the comments down below. But apart from that, thank you guys for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.